We have a lot going on the property today, but hunting season is right around the corner. So this video is for all my ladies out there who are new to bow hunting, who want to get into bow hunting, who maybe have shot but not as much as you want to. I'm going to break down what I shoot and what works for me. So I hope you find this video useful. So this is my DeerMom bow. Bear Archery makes it, and it's specifically designed for women. And this is my second year shooting this bow, and I've had great success with it. I love it. It fits me perfect, but I'm going to explain why. Right off the bat, you can tell that it's a shorter bow. It's only a 30-inch axle, and what that means is from this end of the bow to that end of the bow, it's only 30 inches. A lot of times you'll see a 32-inch bow, which is like a standard size bow, but it definitely makes things be a little more clunky and big when you have a smaller frame. The next thing I love are these small cams. These are the Echo SD cams, and it allows you to have a 23.5-inch to a 28-inch draw. Now, what is a draw? A draw length is the distance from when you fully draw back to where it comes comfortably pretty much at your ear to this imaginary line if you were to draw a straight line down your bow. Now everybody has slightly different draws. Mine's 25.5. A lot of times you'll see a unisex bow start at 26. That extra ½ inch is too long for me. 25.5 just sits perfect. You don't want your arm fully extended. You don't want it bowed and a weird angle. See how I'm kind of kicking it in there? You don't want that because you're gonna hit your arm every single time. You also don't want too short of a draw. You don't want to be like way up in here trying to shoot. You need a nice comfortable draw length. So that's another reason why this bow is so functional for so many different body sizes, heights of women. This is another awesome feature of the bow. I always put my release on here, but this is a loop where you can hook your pull rope to it, climb the stand, and then pull your bow by the string up to you. I love it because you're not having to clip it on your limbs, it's not hitting your cams, it's keeping things nice and secure, and there's no noise or rattle to it. So when you break down your bow, you have your riser, which is the olive green color you see here. That's your riser. You have limbs, 2 of them, one on the bottom, the camouflage bottomland, and one at the top. You have your cams, 1, 2. You have your cables right here, and when you draw, it flexes. That's why you have this piece right here to make everything fluid and smooth. Then you have your string, just 1 string. So 2 cables, 1 string. This right here is called a peep sight. Now what a peep sight does is it allows you to align your eyesight with your sight. This is your sight up here. And so when you're at full draw, you want to make sure the peep and the sight are completely in line with one another. So if this is your sight, this is your peep, you want to make sure that you can see them and the circles match. You don't want your peep to be a little high, you don't want your peep to be a little low. It has to match. So after you get everything lined up, then you're going to aim with your pins. These are pins, and I shoot a Trophy Ridge stacked 5-pin sight. Now that sounds very confusing for those of you who are not aware of sights. Don't let it intimidate you. All that means is that I have 5 pins, as you can tell right there. And my top pin is a 10-yard pin. Now all you guys out there are gonna say, why do you need a 10-yard pin? All you need is a 20. I only draw 44 pounds. This bow is designed from a 30-pound draw weight to a 50-pound draw weight. So that's how heavy you're drawing back. Now, some people shoot 70 pounds on average, 80 pounds, crazy, 60 pounds. It's all dependent on you and what you're comfortable. You could put this bow up an extra 2 pounds. It doesn't have to be an even number. 44, 46, 45, whatever your draw weight is dependent on you and what you're comfortable pulling. Now I will say, don't max out your draw weight before a hunt. So right now it's Florida, I'm shooting, everything feels great. Well, if I'm preparing to go to the Midwest where it's gonna be super cold, I don't want it to be super heavy here, because if it's heavy here and I'm cold up there, and then you have a whole heap of adrenaline pumping through me and I'm shaking and I'm cold, trying to draw sometimes can be very hard. So make sure you're comfortable at the practice range, then you're gonna be comfortable in the woods when you're actually ready to hunt. So do things that feel good for you, not because you're pressured. Now, you don't wanna go shoot 30 pounds and go hunting. That's not even legal. You can't do that. You have to get to a point where it's legal, where you are. Every state, there is a minimum draw weight that you need to go hunting. That way you're not wounding animals. So back to the pins. I shoot a 10-yard pin. Now, do you see the difference between 10 and 20? There is a difference there. That means if I'm at 20, shooting at 10 yards, I'm going to be high. When you shoot closer, your arrow is higher because it's like just coming off the string. As it goes out, it's gonna start dropping. So at close ranges, if I'm using my 20-yard pin, it's still on the incline, which means I'm gonna shoot high. Then it levels out to 20, and after that, it starts dropping. So you want to make sure all these different pins are sighted in. This is one of the reasons I love this sight. There is a tool right here at the top that you unscrew. So it's with you, you never lose it. And all of these 5 bolts are for your pins. So this is your, you can look right here, you can see where they are right now, 10, 20, 25, 30, and then I have like 35, 40, depending on what I want to shoot. That one I always kind of fluctuate it. But all you have to do is put the tool in the top like so and twist it. I love this sight. I have nothing but good things to say about this sight, because when I'm going on a trip by myself, it's a very quick, easy fix. If I just want to like dial in a little bit, if maybe I changed my draw weight a little bit and I just need to tweak something, so easy on the go. Just remember that you put the tool back in the top when you're done with it. It also has a light right here and allows you to light up your pins right there. Now, early morning, late at night, do not have it super, super bright. I am saying that because when you draw and your eyes are trying to adjust and your pins are close, sometimes it all blurs together. So let's pretend that I'm going to adjust my draw weight. All I'm gonna do is put the Allen wrench in the end, half a turn it, then I'm gonna flip my bow around. Take the Allen wrench, put it in, half turn it. You have to make sure they're the same, otherwise your timing is off. Meaning one cam is moving faster or slower than the other. So you have to make sure that this is done right. I'm not trying to intimidate you. You guys can do this at home. It's no big deal. You just have to know you're doing it right. Once you do it and you're comfortable doing it, it's not intimidating at all. Nothing about this bow is intimidating once you start using it. I think it's intimidating to people because they don't know what they're looking at. They don't know what things are on the bow, but that's what I'm trying to do, is help you understand what everything is. So now let's go to your rest. This is what's called a drop away rest. There are different types of rests. If you were to buy this bow online ready to hunt, it comes with what's called a whisker biscuit. Now, whisker biscuit is very basic, but it works. There's nothing that moves. It just holds the arrow and lets you make good shots every single time. This one, there's a moving part to it. If you lift this piece up right there, it raises it. That's where your arrow is going to sit. Now let me show you. When I nock an arrow, I'm going to take my thumb and I'm going to lift it up. Now it holds it by itself, and I'm going to release the arrow. These arrows are new, so I don't even have a tip at the end, but now it's holding your arrow. Then when you shoot, you're at full draw and you shoot, it falls down and it allows your arrow to fly freely without any friction on anything. A whisker biscuit, your rest and your arrow are in constant contact, so people don't necessarily like them because of it. I personally like a drop away, but I grew up shooting a whisker biscuit and had no problems with it. So that's also one of those things that are personal preference. Don't do something because it's a fad. Don't do something because you're peer pressured. Do whatever feels right for you and whatever you're comfortable with. Now, speaking of your arrow, your rest, and your string, this right here is called a D loop. Looks like a D. Mine is twisted, as you guys can tell, because I twisted my string to add a little bit more weight so I can max it out fully. But my peep is in line with my D loop. Very, very, very important. When you draw, when all this is lined up, you need your peep sight to be square to your eye. If it's off and your peep is crooked, you will never be able to see through it. It's like, I can see you now, pretend I'm at full draw. Well, if my peep is crooked, now I can't see you. I can? I can't. It's the same exact thing when you're looking down through the peep to the sight. It's critical that this is in line properly with your eye. Now, I do take this to a bow shop. They have everything there, and they help me get everything situated. The reason I do it is because when I'm at full draw, they can help line up the peep. Sometimes you have to take it out, kind of fix your string, put it back in, and then they serve it in. You guys can kind of see it's served in. It's never gonna fall out. It's basically fine line that goes around your string, and they secure everything right there. So this is locked in place. Before I get into arrows, let's quick go back to our cams for a second. Remember, these are the cams. So on the cams, there are different positions. Up at the top, that's a 25, and that's the half, 26 and a half, 27. That's your draw length. So to change this, you need to move it. There's one on each cam. So that is telling me I'm at a 25.5-inch draw. Over here is your let off. So what percentage, when you draw back, you hit a wall, you'll feel it. Draw a bow back, you're gonna feel exactly what I'm talking about. You draw, it's hard, and then all of a sudden it becomes a lot less hard. It becomes lighter. That's your let off. So this bow has an 85% let off and an 80% let off. Two different options, which is super cool. This is your string stop. It stops the vibration of the string after you shoot. So when you're at full draw and it hits it, it stops the string from like wanting to keep shooting forward. You can also adjust this. I had to pull it back because mine had a little gap and it was causing a little bit of extra noise. Keep these strings and the cables nice and waxed. Mine are super nice right now, so I'm not even going to, but you keep them waxed to keep everything from fraying. One more thing super quick. These right here are vibration dampeners. There's some on my string. There's also some on my limbs. Now, they slide. I always make sure I'm kind of right in the middle towards the front. You don't want them all the way back, which it kind of gets hard to push that far back, but you don't want them too far back close to your cam. You don't want them too far forward. So right about there is where I keep them, right in front of my D for DeerMom. And all that does is help any extra noise when you're shooting. It helps quiet the bow. When you're hunting, that comes in handy. While the guys are working, I'm gonna take a quick little snack break. I'm gonna eat my vitamins. You guys, these are Groons. I carry these things everywhere. They go on all the trips with us. They stay in my car. It's the perfect on-the-go vitamin gummy. You don't just get one gummy, you get a whole pack of gummies because you can't fit all that nutrients in just one gummy. These are not just multivitamins or prebiotics or a green gummy. It's everything plus some at a fraction of the price. These are also vegan, nut-free, dairy-free, gluten-free, have low sugar, and you can get them in a no sugar option. And they taste amazing. These little gummies also have super mushrooms, which promotes brain and gut health and supports your whole body. Groons also makes a kid-friendly version. So if you have kids at home between the ages of 2 and 13, there's also something for them. So if you guys want to check out Groons for yourself today, just click on the link in my description below to get up to 61% off and free gifts. Now let's talk about arrows. So contradictory to popular belief, I was shooting an Easton full metal jacket. It's a super small 4mm diameter arrow. The insert is glued on the outside. This piece right here is an insert. If you guys can see, it's this metal piece that's on top of the end of my arrow. On a standard size arrow, the insert gets glued on the inside. But because it's so stinking small, it needs to go on the outside. There's no room for it on the inside. And the insert allows you to screw in your field point and your broadhead. This right here is a field point. This is what you practice with. They are all different weights. Again, it can be extremely overwhelming for you guys who want to get into hunting. But 100 grain field point is a pretty common weight for everything. Now, this is what people give me a hard time for all the time. This is a 400 spine arrow. What does that mean? That means it's a heavier, more hard arrow. Doesn't have too much flex in it. Well, I'm only drawing 44 pounds, so it's slowing the speed of the arrow down. I love this arrow though, because when I shoot at an animal, I get pass-throughs because there's enough inertia behind the arrow. So even though it's a hair slower, the impact is much greater. So I've had a lot of success with this particular arrow. However, I'm down to like 5 and I love shooting. So I am going to try, this is a gold tip arrow, Pierce LRT, and it is a 300 spine arrow, but the weight checks out where it's identical to what I'm shooting on the full metal jacket side. So same diameter, different numbers, but the weights are the same. So I shouldn't have to do too much adjusting with my sight. So to break down arrows a little bit more in depth, these are called your vanes up here. If you're shooting traditional, people actually shoot arrows with feathers on them, real feathers. These are like plastic little pieces that are glued on. But I have 3 on each, and there's always an odd color because when you're shooting, depending on your rest, you want to turn this odd color a certain way. Whisker biscuits, you want to make sure that the bottom clears the hard part of the whisker biscuit. I always do odd up regardless. A lot of times people will turn it to the side depending on personal preference and what you think works better. My odd is always up. Now, as you can tell, the big difference between these two arrows is the knock. These are called your knock. This one is just a plastic piece. This one is plastic, but it lights up. This is a lighted knock. Now, whatever you're going to hunt with, I suggest you buy more for your practice arrows because you have to make sure whatever you're practicing with is the exact same thing that you're going to hunt with. So little things make a big difference. This weighs different than this. You want to make sure everything is the exact same weight from the practice range to the hunting stand. So all of mine typically have a lighted knock, but I don't have that many because I just got these brand new arrows. So today I'm going to shoot with the plastic, but I'm going to shoot all plastic, no lighted. These I'm going to retire, and then I'm going to order more lighted knocks for these. These are not cheap. So I suggest you dial in your bow first with the plastic ones. Then as you're getting more confident, more ready to go hunting, then you can upgrade to your lighted knocks and just have, you know, whatever you need to go in the woods with, and then just a few extra to practice with. So you're not having to constantly change the tips. Last but not least, let's talk about broadheads. This is the broadhead that I shoot. It's called a slick trick. Now on this one particularly, as you can tell, the peak of the diamond goes way up here by the chisel on this blade, but then it drops on that second blade. So they're a little bit different as far as height goes, but I love a fixed blade broadhead. I also have these. I bent it over so I could shove it in my pack in case I needed more, but this is a 1-inch cutting diameter. It's how big of an opening you're gonna get when you shoot something. Sometimes, you know, you can have 1.5 inch cutting diameter, but I choose the small one because I don't draw a lot of weight. So when I hit something, I need enough inertia to go through whatever I'm shooting. If I have a bigger broadhead cutting diameter, it just means it's gonna take a lot more room and slow my arrow down. So I like 1 inch, and I love a fixed blade broadhead because nothing can go wrong as far as mechanical. So when this arrow goes through something, nothing is moving within the blades. It's staying stationary. On a mechanical, it starts off skinny, similar to a field point, which are these field points. And then when it hits something, it opens up. Well, I've had those fail. And when they fail, it's basically like you're shooting an animal with a field point. And it does nothing, because it is nothing. This is a target arrow, not meant for hunting. You also don't want these to fall in the sand. So once you have your broadheads and your arrows ready to go hunting, then you're gonna put it in what's called a quiver. This quiver is awesome because it has a light on it. So when you're walking in the woods with your quiver attached to your bow, you can turn on this light just to give yourself a little bit extra light if you got to see the path or where the ladder is, what tree stand, whatever you're hunting, you can use a light. So I really like this one. And you just slide it in there, and there are little notches way at the tip, and you just kind of line it up with the chisel and you gently push it in. Now, since I shoot a small diameter arrow, this quiver is designed with these rubber inserts to hold the small diameter. If I was just shooting a standard arrow, I would swap out this rubber piece, it comes right out, and I would replace it with a standard size rubber piece to hold my regular arrows. So it is universal, it will fit everybody. You just got to make sure you're putting in the right one, because if you have the standard size and you're shooting micro arrows, small diameter arrows, they're just going to fall out every single time. Nothing is going to lock them, and you want it to pop in. Like, it has to be secure. You want nothing rattling. You don't want to lose your arrows, especially with the ones with the broadheads. If they start slipping, your broadheads are going to slide all the way there, and you don't want that, because then you're going to end up cutting yourself. Now it's time to put the quiver on the bow. This is also another reason I love this quiver. It's a quick, easy attachment. So you slide it on and you push it down. And this lever is like one of a bike seat where you can tighten it or loosen it however you want. But when you get to your stand, all I do is lift it up, pull it off, and then there's a loop at the top, and I hang it on a branch or on a hook or something to get it out of my way. But always keep this within arm's reach, because if you take a shot and something crazy happens, like the deer drops or whatever, and you miss, and they don't know what's going on, you can always quietly get another arrow, knock it, and make another shot. Sometimes when you shoot a bow at an animal, they don't really know what's going on. So they might spook, and then they might get relaxed again and be like, okay, don't really know, but I'm gonna come back in. Doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes you get lucky with hogs or whatever, where they might mingle yet because they don't know what that was. So always be ready. Don't think because you shot and missed that your opportunity is over, because it might not be. Something might run off and something else might come in. So always be ready. One more quick thing before we start shooting. These are my field points. I've already showed you guys these. On the back, it says 100 grain right there. Make sure your broadheads are the exact same thing that you're practicing with at the range. So these are 100 grain. These are also 100 grain. They are the same. And all you have to do to put these broadheads together is open this package. There's little slits on the side of these chisel points. There's a slit on this blade and a tiny notch on that blade. You put this over that and in that. Very, very easy, but you might have to do it together in the chisel. Like, it looks like, well, how am I supposed to put that together? At the end of the day, I'll show you. I just have no way of opening this right now, so we'll get back to that. And that is the basics of the compound bow. This is called a compound bow, and you have a crossbow and you have a traditional bow, which is a recurve bow. But these with the cams are compound bows. And I also have a release. I personally use a true ball, and this is like a youth true ball because it fits my small wrist. And I've been using it for a very, very long time, so I'm super comfortable with it. And it's worn in, broken, ready to rock. I have it adjusted to my hand. Now when you're shooting a release, see how it only comes pretty much to the bottom of my middle finger? Well, when I pull it, it goes way up there. You need to be able to wrap your pointer finger around the release comfortably. You're not going to want you to use your tip of your finger. You want it to be a nice, comfortable, you know, front half of your finger. I have one spare that I always bring with me. Anytime you're hunting, always pack a spare release in your backpack, because sometimes you drop it, you can't find it, or you don't have time to get down. Animals are going crazy, the rut's happening, like, you need to be ready. So always, always, always carry another release on you. Things happen, you might forget it at home. It happens. You think, how does that happen? It does. And I know a lot of you who've hunted before have had that happen. You put it down, you forget about it. So that's why I also always put it on my bow. It's always attached to my bow, so I know no matter where I go, as long as I have my bow, I also have my release. So create a habit of that, always putting it back on your bow so you don't forget it. Another thing to remember is that when you buy a release, a lot of times they come super long. Sometimes you can twist them shorter and then lock them. This one, I had to just pull this string and make it shorter on my own, and I cut that little rubber tubing right there. If you buy a spare, make sure the spare is identical to the one you're shooting and shoot with it. Make sure everything's the exact same, because this release dictates your draw length. If your release is a certain length and you draw, and I'm 25.5, and then I go to a different release and it's way longer, well, now my draw feels longer. So make sure that this is perfect, and don't change it once it's right. Once you find one that you like, stick to it. I like this one. It's floppy, it's flexible. I literally can twist it to the back of my wrist and keep it out of my way. Some of them are hard and you can fold them down, but those ones snap up and they're a little hard for me. I like the flexibility of this one, but it's not too flimsy where I can't find it. So, like, as you notice, I can grab it quick and find it. Sometimes the floppy ones, it's like, where'd it go? Now it's time to shoot, but I need to put all these field points in my new arrows. And I'm not sure that I have as many as I need. It'll be close. So all you do is take your field point, this is the 100 grain, remember, and you put it in your insert and you screw it in. I like to hold the point and screw the arrow. It creates good habits, because when you start putting broadheads in, you don't want to constantly try to move your hand around the broadhead. You don't want to cut yourself. So I just hold this piece stationary and twist the arrow, and then it goes right in. Everything in bow hunting is all about repetition. So try to create good habits at the range, because then it carries with you. When exciting things happen, you're not overthinking things or missing things. It just comes natural, and you'll be more confident the more you shoot and more habits you create. Good habits. Anytime you're shooting, always make sure you have a range finder. This is my Burris. It goes with me everywhere. I have an extra just in case. Like, you guys plan and prepare and put all the time in. When you finally get to the field, if something malfunctions on you, it's the worst feeling in the world. So I always have a spare of the things that I can, like spare release, must. Spare rangefinder on a big trip, must. The more you shoot, the better you can judge, but I need to know precisely how far I'm shooting. I always have extra arrows, just in case. I always have extra broadheads, just in case. I am the type, when it comes to bow hunting, that I'd rather have a little bit extra than not enough and go super far and not be able to go hunting when it matters the most. So it's always better to be more prepared than underprepared. Okay, 10.6, perfect. And one more thing about arrows that I totally forgot to mention. When you buy brand new arrows, they have to be cut to fit you. So it's all based off your draw and how long you need. You don't want to shoot a full-size arrow. It's going to be way too long for you. You want to shorten it where when you pull back, the broadhead end on the end still clears past your finger. You don't want to be way back here, put your finger up and then it slices you on the way. So make sure your arrows are the right length. Any bow shop will know how to cut arrows properly. Now, let's knock it. These are new, so my odd vein is out. All you have to do, twist your arrow. Then this is my drop away rest. I take my finger, I'm doing it backwards just so I can show you. I take my finger and you pull it up, just like so. So when you draw, this cable right here becomes tight, and it knows when you release in order for it to drop your rest out of the way of the veins. That's the whole point of the drop away. Now I want you guys to pay attention to how I'm actually drawing. Put your release right on your D-loop, just like so. All you do is open it up, clip it on the D-loop, make sure it's on. When I draw straight back. When I was young, I remember trying to draw and I pointed it to the ceiling because I was in a bow shop, hit the trigger and shot the arrow directly into the ceiling. Accidents happen so often. Don't ever put your finger on the trigger until you are ready to shoot. Always have your fingers behind the trigger. You know how many times things like that happen? It's incredible. Not being taught the right way the first time is a huge mistake. Always make sure you're doing it right and know exactly how your bow works, the mechanics, what makes it fire, all the things. So, step 1, make sure this is on and secure. Step 2, make sure your hand is behind the trigger. Step 3, now I am saying this with the hunting mentality. I'm not drawing right here. I'm literally gonna pull my release straight back to where I'm about to anchor. So I'm gonna draw the bow. It's nice and straight because you're not trying to make a lot of movement in the tree. Now, I'm going to use my knuckle and put it right under my ear, just like so. There's a notch in your ear. You can feel the knuckle. That's your anchor point number 1. I'm pointing this in the safe direction right now. Anchor point number 2. Now I'm bringing my finger across so I can kind of feel it now. Now I'm going to rest my face against the string. Rest my nose, find my peep, find my sight. Now, my elbow is not locked straight. It's nice and relaxed. My hand, this hand, my left hand, is going to be relaxed. I'm not death gripping the bow because what you'll find out is when you start death gripping the bow, you're gonna tweak it one way or another. When you shoot, your hand's gonna wanna flex and you're gonna not be accurate. Everything you do has to be consistent. Bow hunting is like rifles in the aspect that you have to be consistent, but any minor thing that you do wrong back here affects the shot down there. Same thing like a gun, but I feel like it's more enhanced with the bow. Like there's a lot more things that you have to run through your head. Anchor 1, anchor 2, anchor 3, making sure your peep is lined up with the sight, making sure that your arm is not totally flexed open, making sure your left hand is in the same position every time and is not super tense. I don't even shoot with what's called a wrist sling. It goes goes onto the bow and it kind of goes over your wrist. I can't even show you because I obviously don't have one. They also have a stabilizer which screws in right here. But as you guys can tell, I also don't have a stabilizer. I like my bow to be nice and light. And for me, I shoot better without it than I do with it. So this entire setup is how I like it, not how you guys need to like it. You might love shooting with the stabilizer. You might love shooting with the whisker biscuit or the wrist sling. You guys are going to understand. Every single bow shop that you go in, somebody is going to tell you something different. And everybody is the best at what they do, and they all have their own very strong opinions on how you should do it. This is my best advice that I can offer. Listen to what everybody is saying, but take bits and pieces from each person and mash it together and create your best you, whatever works best for you with the knowledge that you're getting. Because there's so many people who do it slightly different. Sometimes people use a kisser. It's called a kisser button, and it goes right on your string, and you're supposed to put it on the corner of your mouth. I found when I started using it, I was digging it so deep that my anchor was slightly moving every time I shot, and I wasn't accurate. So I personally don't use a kisser button. Rob loves using a tube peep, completely different than just this. So You have to find what works best for you. And once it feels comfortable, just keep repeating that process, repeating it. And eventually you're gonna go from a pattern like this to a pattern like that. Now pay attention to how I pull the trigger. If you can tell, every single time that I try to shoot, I keep following through with my release. I don't just like release punch it and call it a day. I try to keep the motion going, to keep it nice and fluid. As you can tell, I'm a hair to the left. Let's shoot again. Every time you shoot, you want to shoot a group of 3. 3 will give you a nice idea of where you're favoring within the target. Obviously, I'm favoring to the left. That's close. Okay, these are my 3 arrows. So as you can tell, they are very, very close. That right there is a great indicator to say, I really am shooting left. Sometimes you'll shoot too close, and then one might be closer to the center. Then you have to think, did I tweak my wrist? Did I have my good anchor? Did I have my nose touching the string? There's so many little things that it could be to make you off. So if you know everything was the same, you know all 3 shots were almost touching, that's a good sign to move your sight. Now to make changes on your sight, left and right, you're gonna go all the way back here. Same tool on the top of your sight, you're gonna loosen up this bolt. It shifts the whole thing. It looks scary. I promise you, it's not that bad. So you're just gonna loosen this up so that it can move freely underneath. Then you're gonna take another Allen wrench. This is a T10. And there is a locking bolt right there on this dial. You're going to loosen it. Now you always want to chase your arrow. And what I mean by that is, if I'm shooting left, I want to move my sight left. There are little notches on the top of the sight, so you know exactly how far you're moving them. And as you can tell, I put black marker there at one point because I wanted to know if I ever had to quick make an adjustment, where to set it. Now I am shooting a little bit off. It might have got jarred, it might have wiggled a little bit, so you always want to make sure everything is tight, everything is locked down. No need to move anything back here. It's all at the front of your sight. I personally look down on it and figure out, okay, where am I moving it? So that was to the right, forward to the left. I'm only going to move it a little bit. So I moved it slightly that way. And I'm going, where did I put my little tool? Right here, to tighten this top one down. It's minor movements. You don't want to move it too much. There's a good chance I just moved it too much. We shall find out. Also take in consideration the wind. Right now, yes, I have a crosswind, which means it's going across my target, but I'm shooting at such a short distance that it shouldn't make that big of a difference. Okay, perfect. Still a little high, but I'm gonna shoot 2 more. If you guys pay attention to every single time I shoot, you'll hear my breaths. You'll kind of see my finger fall into place. There's things that I do every single time that have just like became habit. It's no different than when I played softball and you have a certain swing and you have your certain on deck swing and the things you do with the bat and how you get into the batter's box. Like everything is the same. It becomes a habit. If you pay attention closely, you'll start to see my habits. Now that is a great group. See how they're all like touching? That's what you want. But as you can tell, it's high. Those were my first 3. These are my second 3. So I still was a little high over here. This one might have been just an oddball a little bit down, but for the most part, I'm shooting slightly high. Now these are new arrows, so they might be flying a little bit faster, which means I am going to drop my pin, well, technically raise my pin, but drop where I'm shooting by like 1.5 inches, I would say, 2 inches, 1.5 inches, somewhere in there. Before I move my top pin, I'm gonna make sure everything is tight back here because obviously I'm dead center. I don't wanna move that. See how that moved? This right here is a prime example of why you always have to check your sight. Do you see how it moves? Left and right, it's moving. These are all tight. That bolt under there obviously is not. So when you're traveling and it's in a case, out of a case, you're using it, you're shooting it, things might try to unthread a little bit, which causes your sight to be off. Everything has to be secure, tight, the same. You don't want anything like this moving because that right there is the chance of killing a deer or wounding a deer. So now I'm going to make sure it's nice and even, and I'm going to tighten it. So this one is a T20. You go right underneath like so, and all you're going to do is snug it up. And make sure that there's no play in this sight. This seems like a lot, but when you start getting in the hang of it, it really isn't. Just try to give it time, be patient with yourself, and give it a chance, because once you guys start understanding this, it's so much fun. There's a reason so many people love to bow hunt. It's a challenge, but all of this you can do on your own. I do all this on my own. It's extremely easy once you understand it. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Can you hear that? It's like a little metal sound. That means your tip is not tight. When you shoot, these field points will start to loosen and rattle. Always make sure before you make the shot they're tight. So a lot of times before I'm getting ready to shoot, I just reach to the end, tighten it, make sure I'm not actually twisting my arrow, and you're good to go. Pretty good, but I'm gonna shoot again. I'm also kind of shooting fast right now, so don't feel like you have to like sling them off so fast. Take your time and really aim when you're sighting a bow in. You never want to rush because sometimes you could flinch, sight it in, and you're constantly chasing an arrow around. It's not fun. So I am a little bit left after doing that. So I'm going to drop it and move it right, just barely. What was loose was causing my left and right to be off, not my height. I hope this is an informative video for you guys and not boring, because I'm definitely talking a lot in this video. So I'm going to loosen the top bolt off. I'm just using these because it's easy. Then this one is the one that you need on hand. So just get in the habit of carrying some type of Allen wrench set with you. So once again, I am chasing my arrow. I'm shooting a little bit left. I'm going to move the sight left. To you, it's going to look right. To me, it's going left. So I always look down on my bow so I can see all the hash marks. And I'm going to move it slightly left. Tighten everything back down. This right here is why you spend time at the bow range. It's not like you can pick up a gun that somebody else sighted in and you can just go shoot and be very successful. Bow hunting, and your bow specifically, is so customized to you that you can't just pick up somebody else's bow and go shoot it and expect to have a lot of success with it unless you're the exact same body build. I mean, like, this is so unique to me. that it won't fit everybody else. So I just moved it farther to the left, and now I want to drop it a little bit. So I'm going to find my 10-yard pin, which is way up there. Make sure you find the right bolt that goes with it, because if you start moving the wrong pin, that's not fun. So I'm going to put it in there, and I'm going to look to see what hashtag it's on, and I'm going to raise it, because once again, you're following your arrow. Okay, so that's dropping it. So always make sure you remember how many twists you're putting in it and where the hashtag is. So now I'm just gonna barely raise it. Let's see where that is. And the great thing about this site is that you don't need to lock anything. Once you move it, it's moved. It's not gonna just move on its own unless you put an Allen wrench up there and move it forcefully. Now let's see where we're at. Still a touch high. Dead center though, left and right is good. It looks like I moved it a lot, but that can be kind of deceiving. Okay, I'm gonna drop it a little more because I already know those two are like right there. I'm gonna drop it a little bit. And the reason I'm continually filming is because I want you guys to see my repetition, how similar things are. I know when I'm doing something wrong. That last shot, I kind of pushed the bow away with my left hand a little bit more than I would have liked, but you start to feel the bow and what is different than the shot before. Ooh. Okay, so now I am good. And I know I was hugging the left side before I pulled the trigger because the wind started picking up. But I feel like we're right there. One more for good measure. I'd say we're good. This is deceiving because I thought these were more in the middle, but really it's kind of lower right. And these are kind of to the right. So maybe I'll bump it back to the left and raise it just a touch. So close. Oh, and speaking of field points, notice how mine are flush. You want to make sure your field points are flush with your arrow. You don't want them to be too small with your arrow or too big, because when you pull them out from the target, if they're too big, it's going to grab every single time on your field point. So make sure the transition between the field point and your insert is nice and smooth. Same diameter. Very important. Oh, I just lost my target. It just tipped over. Let's try that again. We're good. I'm not even going to shoot again. Yep, I would say that's good. I'll go over here so you can see it. All right, I'm gonna leave that at 10 yards. That's good. Now my 10-yard pin, I want to be dead center, like as close to perfect as possible. My 20-yard pin and anything past 20 yards, I try to be a hair lower than higher. And the reason for that is because if you're shooting at an animal out there and a deer goes to run, they're going to drop down naturally to take off. So if you're already shooting high, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna shoot right over them or clip the back of them. You're going to miss. So I always like to shoot a hair lower the farther I go out, knowing it's either gonna make a kill shot or make a kill shot. It's not gonna be a kill shot or a miss. You always have to keep hunting in mind. If you're shooting to hunt, then you have to prepare to hunt. You're not just target practicing. These animals move out there, and I'm telling you, it's the worst feeling in the world to wound an animal. And it happens so easy. This one time I was in Wisconsin, and I was overconfident. I thought I had the shot. It was quartering away on a hard angle, and I was like, oh my gosh, I know I can place that arrow exactly where I need it to just run up there. And I didn't wait for the deer to turn broadside. When you're bow hunting, having an animal broadside is a lot more impactful than when you're gun hunting. Gun hunting, heck, you could shoot them in the neck. You could take shots that you might not take when you're bow hunting. So make sure you know how to shoot, but also where to shoot. That's also very important. Spend time learning the anatomy of the animal that you're going to hunt. What is a kill shot? What is fatal? What is not? Very, very important to understand why you're out there and how to make a good shot. How that arrow is traveling through an animal. If they're quartering a little bit to you, well, if you shoot too far back, it's going to come out the back ham. You have to know what you can get away with and understand that if you're not drawing a heavy weight, well, if you hit them in the shoulder blade, the broadhead might just stick in the shoulder blade. It might not be a pass through. You don't want to take shots like that. You have to make sure that you have a clean, open shot depending on your setup. 19.8, close enough. When I'm sighting my bow in, I always make sure that I'm sighting in on my pin numbers. So 10 is 10, 20 is 20, almost exactly. Then after I get fully sighted in, then I move to gap shooting, and I'll explain that in a little bit. I'm expecting this shot to be slightly high, but we'll find out. Slightly high, like I said. I'm just gonna go ahead and move it because I already know it's gonna be high. The reason I know that is because my 10 was high, and if my 10's high, my 20 is definitely gonna be high. So 20 is my second pin in. That's my 20. Same thing, I'm just going to chase my arrow, so I'm gonna move it a little high. I kind of just like guesstimate. Let's try again. And I got thunder rolling in. That shadow. We're gonna shoot one more. It's a little bit low, but again, I'd rather shoot a little low than a little high. And since it is 20, I'm using my second pin. That top one's 10, the second green one is 20. I can't tell, let's go look up. Okay, there was my second and my third. Or second, third, one of the two. This was my first one. So I think I'm gonna leave it. We're good at 20. Now I'm gonna drag it to 25. Shoot again. Typically I like shooting farther back and moving it in as I go. But when I'm sighting things in, it's easier to know off the bat where I'm at, and I don't want to miss the target if I were to be way off. So I start closer and then work my way out. But once it's dialed in, I start out and work my way in because it feels like it's easier that way. It's like when you're used to shooting close range and then you're trying to shoot super far, a little intimidating. But if you start far, it's a mental thing. It doesn't seem so bad. Before I even shoot on this one, I'm just gonna go ahead and move my pin because I know it's gonna be off. So I just dropped it a little bit. 25 is my third pin, the red pin. Can't tell. Too far away. So you guys are experiencing something with me for the first time. That was always my 25-yard pin. But I am shooting high. So my arrow is traveling faster than my previous arrows, which means this could very well be a 30-yard pin now. See that? Now, they're not as tight as I would like, but that's actually like super exciting. That means I'm gonna bump this up to 30, see where I'm at. Whoa, which I probably just passed. My old arrows, I needed that for 20 and 25. These are a little bit more zippy, so maybe I can make 30 with my third pin. That is exciting. Before I shoot 30, I'm just gonna take a second, calm down a little bit. I've been shooting a lot, I've been talking a lot. Typically when I do this, I'm just in the zone and I'm going through the motions and really focusing. But when you're shooting a lot at the range, don't overshoot. Allow your body to have breaks in between, because once you start getting tired, you make mistakes. So I don't want to make mistakes. I haven't been making mistakes, but I also know when I need to take a break for a second. So it's very important that you listen to your body. And if you start being shaky, like your muscles are kind of getting tired, just put the bow down, come back to it. Do a few reps, go do something else, go do a few reps, do something else. Like, it doesn't have to be 2 hours shooting a bow. That's too long. You're gonna get whooped, you're gonna get frustrated, and you're gonna leave at the end of the day with little to no confidence. And confidence is key when you're bow hunting. This may be good or it may be low. I don't exactly know. Oh my gosh, that's like real good. Holy smokes, you guys. I am so excited right now. Wow. I can't tell, but I'm shooting another one. That one might have been to the right. Let's go see. If I just gave myself a 30-yard pin and not a 25 one, that is very exciting. Ah, it was to the right. I knew it. Okay. Not a good group, guys. Not a good group. These were my first two, and I knew I pulled this one to the right. I could feel my wrist kind of barely tweak, but I'm telling you, I'm gonna rewind it and see if you can see me do it, but I could feel it. So that little movement moved my arrows. So this is like, you know, ballpark area, and moved it all the way over there. That's how important form is. Like, I can't express that enough. Your form and repetition is so important. Curious to see where this group is. Pretty happy with it. Top one could have been a little tighter, but in general, I'm happy. It's all relatively close to the center. Like this one's a little low, that one's a little high. But again, I'm getting tired. So I'm gonna call it on that. I am sighted in to 30 yards. Before I let you go though, I wanna tell you something that I always remember that my dad did when I was younger. So we would always go to the tree stand, and when we were at the tree stand, I would climb it, and Dad would stay on the ground, and from up there, I would range all of the trees in front of me. So say that tree is 10 yards, probably a little farther, but hey, we'll call that 10 yards. Dad would take, let's just say yellow spray paint all the 10-yard trees yellow. Then I would move to 15 yards. Then I would move to 20 yards. Then I would move to 25 yards. And so when I was sitting up in my tree, I literally had like target practice right in front of me. Like I knew what color meant what. So if you guys are new to hunting, you have one stand that you're always gonna hunt. You know you're only gonna play the wind on the right days. Well, it doesn't hurt to go mark a couple trees, knowing if they're 10, 15, 20 yards, whatever that is. I think that's a really awesome way for you to not have to overthink things and screw up, because when you hunt for the first time, you are thinking about everything. And it's very hard to remember all of the little details. Sometimes you're like, man, I think that's 20 yards. I think that's 20 yards. And you go to shoot and you shoot right over the back because, well, it was really 10. I mean, it's hard to judge distance when you're not used to judging distance. So find things that are going to be helpful for you when you go hunting to lighten your load, especially if you're hunting the rut. Because if you are new to bow hunting and you hunt the rut, you are going to be in for a treat in a good way. Like the deer are running everywhere, they're grunting, the does are running, like it's pure chaos. It gives me goosebumps. Like literally, it's the best thing in the entire world to experience. Like there's nothing better than bow hunting the rut. It is such an amazing experience. So with that being said, make sure going into it, you're confident, you have repetition, you can prep ahead of the hunt. You know what your limits are. You know what your distances are. You know how you're going to make the shot, where you're going to aim on the shot. Always think about, okay, if I'm hunting this tree stand, where would the deer come from? Where are they trying to get to? Think about like, okay, well, if that deer steps out right on this road, if they're over there, I'm going to draw there, stay at draw. When they step out, I'm taking the shot. Think through the hunt, because if you don't, and all of a sudden it just happens, you won't be prepared and you're going to be surprised and not ready. Always stay ready. So I hope you guys found this video super helpful. If you guys want to check out my bow, it is the DeerMom bow on the Bear Archery website. I am so obsessed with this bow. Like I'm a little biased, but it's really an amazing bow for first-time hunters, experienced hunters. It's compact, it's lightweight. Obviously, it shoots very, very well. So check out the link in the description below if you want to check out that bow. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop comments below. If it's your first time hunting, drop a comment. If you've been a hunter, drop a comment. I would love to hear your feedback. But that's all I got for you guys. Till next time, take care, God bless, and we are gone.